happening. Looks like it's about to happen now. We're going to find out. Tibia versus GoodSpeed, German versus Brits for game number 1 on Kamchatka. Here we go, launching into the game. Tibia will be piloting the German civilization. His opponent, GoodSpeed, will be playing the British civilization. Kind of a fun matchup, one of those standard ES vanilla matchups. We'll see how it ends up playing out. The map is, of course, Kamchatka for game number 1 in this best of 3. I'll just quickly run over the maps once again for those of you who may be just joining us for the first time today. Kamchatka, game number 1. Game number 2 will be played on Baja, California, and game number 3 will be played on Bengal. But introducing our players here in this first game on Kamchatka, starting in the bottom right side of the map, playing the German civilization is Tibia, and his opponent playing in the green color in the upper left-hand side of the map. The British civilization is GoodSpeed. GoodSpeed, one of those guys who comes and goes in terms of activity. Certainly when he's good, he's really good, and when he's not on form, well, just like anyone who's not on form, they can look a little bit rusty and maybe not be on point with their builds in their current metagame. But we'll see. GoodSpeed certainly a very scary player when he's on point. And opening up with a market build here with the British. Looks like he's going to be getting his hunting dogs nice and early. And as a result of that, going to be powering up his eco nice and early. Similarly, because it is, of course, not a 200 wood start, Tibia, the German player, going to be opting for his hunting dogs as well. And it looks like both players having their markets up. Hunting dogs being researched for GoodSpeed, and I think similarly for Tibia. We'll have that researching here in just a moment. There it comes. But this matchup, kind of a fun one. Brits, of course, an economic powerhouse. Very, very good at booming in Germany. One of those kind of recently very scary civs in terms of just their timing play. Of course, on a map like this, a little bit more open. Good map for raiding, and we'll see how it ends up shaking out.
GoodSpeed about to get a free gift from Tibia here. Unfortunate timing for Tibia. He started off with 75 food, and GoodSpeed had me walking by with a snipe in hand and just picked it up. As you mentioned, Germans are quite strong right now. Definitely favored in this matchup. We haven't really seen much Brits since the patch is going on. Since the patch came out. So I'm interested to see what GoodSpeed's able to pull out, and I think that 75 food will definitely be needed.
I'm curious as to what he thinks is wrong.
Yeah, me too.
I wonder if it's like something like with his mouse or something is wrong.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
He's Sango.
That's what's wrong. Here we go. Mid loss for GoodSpeed. Stole opponent's treasure. BM.
It just says in the notes, stole opponent's treasure.
BM disqualified from tournament. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how this ends up playing out, because I think I do like Germany here as well. But Brits are always one of those civilizations that, I mean, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, right? They're quite difficult to play against in the terms that if you just make one small mistake and all of a sudden they've got 15 manners up and they're double your economic unit population, and it just feels like you're never going to catch up. But
yeah, and for a time they were considered to be one of the best Eurociv, best civ out of all the Europeans at least. But now not the case, and GoodSpeed is just all over Tibia right now. He's stealing another treasure. He's stolen 2 goats up here, and Tibia just has to cry. Right, has to be crying right now, as he's walked away with 0 treasures and and 3 goats. Right, and sorry, that was an accident, but he started accidental flare. I was just in shock from how well GoodSpeed's stolen things here, but. Yeah, so Tibia's got to be unhappy here. He's just kind of ended up with a bad H1.
By the way, fun little fact: if you click the flare button and then you can right-click and it will undo the flare.
Ah, okay. I had no idea I even clicked on the flare. I'm honestly the cold on my My calves are starting to feel a little cold, and my fingers are definitely frozen right now. So as soon as we're done here, I'm going to like a Starbucks or something to escape my house.
I thought you were gonna like maybe like need to turn on the bathtub to like and just like fill it up with only hot water, so in between games you can like run over there and like dunk your
Just
arms
jump in.
Right, okay, you can just jump in if you want.
Yeah.
I was
thinking about just like, maybe a couple vodka shots or something, go for that liquor jacket.
warm it up a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway.
Tibia dropping down his trading post. Pretty normal stuff for the German player in transition here as we start to work our way over to the second age for both players. Tibia looking like he's got a fairly standard colonial agenda on the way. Probably going to be trying to get up to that third age as quickly as possible. And GoodSpeed, we'll have to see how crazy and carried away he gets with his boom, or whether or not he wants to try and do some sort of timing pressure. For the time being, looks like plenty of manners being constructed. And certainly, it's a map where you do have the option to do that. Philosopher Prince, interestingly enough, for GoodSpeed here, aging up to 500 food crate, and we'll see how that ends up impacting him. I mentioned previously, traditionally the only time that you see Philosopher Prince is when you're trying to do big, dual racks, Expo Pike type plays, and well, we'll see whether or not if that's what GoodSpeed has in store for Tibia. I'm not sure that I necessarily would agree with Longbow Pike here, and thus don't really agree with the Philosopher Prince, but we'll see what he has in mind. Maybe he's got something tricky up his sleeve.
It's just typical GoodSpeed. He always does this. He gathers no food in transition and just builds extra houses and then goes 500 food. And usually this goes for a bigger mass, right, rather than having the tower to defend. And it's really not too big of a difference either way. It's kind of weird how it works out because of how good gold is versus food as far as villager seconds goes. But definitely going to see a lot of villagers coming at GoodSpeed here. He's probably going to go straight to 200 house pop with just 5 pikes. This is very much a GoodSpeed build where you just you build all your houses right in the middle of your base, and there's the pikes right on time. And you kind of just have to start migrating for food, though. That's where this build runs into trouble, right? The hunts sprint out very fast, and then you have no control over these hunts at all yet. You just have a huge block of houses in your base. So yeah, that's going to be the key: is can GoodSpeed get out of his base and hold hunts, and can he hold a 2 TP timing?
Yeah, we'll be finding out the answers to these questions and more here over the course of the next probably 5 or 6 minutes. Certainly, one thing that you did mention, I think it's very important to reiterate how important that is. Brits, when you build this many manor houses, fly through hunts very, very quickly, especially with the steel traps upgrade research, which GoodSpeed is currently researching right now. And as a result, it can be a little bit tricky to secure enough hunts to continue to produce units once you've exhausted all of those initial hunts. Tibia, we can see standing on top of this hunt to the left side of the base with these Ulans, and GoodSpeed with only a couple of pikes here to run interference against these raids. Does have to be very careful with how the next 4 or 5 minutes progress, because should he not secure these hunts, I mean, if you look at his base, he's already starting to run pretty thin on the hunts, right? There's probably 5 or 6 musk deer worth of food left in his base, at which point he does still have the 5 goats, and then he'll have to move out at some point, and at that point securing a location like this against something like vet Ulans with 9 Ulan, 8 Ulan, 8 skirm, 7 skirm running right at you is something that's going to be somewhat difficult of a task. So Tibia almost certainly going to be aging up here very, very soon. We can see his resources currently stockpiling up in that manner, and just going to be continuing to raid a little bit here as he builds up his resources to get to the next stage.
Yeah, GoodSpeed actually aging before Tibia, which is huge because he does not have the fast age of politician available. So it's still very likely that Tibia will actually beat GoodSpeed to the fortress age, but every second kind of counts here. And Tibia finally striking some pay dirt here. He's going to get 2 vills for 2 Ulan, which is a nice trade for him. You can see the other thing is Germans are very strong in general. You just kind of look at the advantage GoodSpeed's garnered for all of his risk he's taken, and he's only up 5 vills.
Yeah.
Like, all Tibia had to do well semi was just send, 3-seller wagon, 2-seller wagon, and he's kept up with a full British houseboom, which is kind of crazy. So,
yeah, let's just take a moment to reflect how good of a shipment 3-settler wagons actually is. It's the equivalent to 6 villagers.
Plus 2 Ulan.
Plus 2 Ulan. If you just think about it, it is just mind-boggling how good that shipment is. It's just so
Japan
good.
gets 7 vills in Fortress and no Ulan.
That is correct. I mean,
so
it's pretty dirty when it comes right down to it. A little bit of a snare going down on these Ulans. Going to be able to pick
even the
up
longbow getting in on it.
Yeah, and a little bit of return damage as well, like you mentioned from the longbow. Going to be able to push him off, and that's going to give GoodSpeed the time to get over here and start hurting this next hunt, which is very important because now he's invested a ton of resources into aging up. Is going to start eating his goats, and I mean, you can look at this hunt, great. He's got it under his control, which is exactly what he needed to do. But now, mentally, what I'm already thinking is I'm thinking of the next hunt. Like, these next 2 hunts, those are starting to feel slightly uncomfortable for me if I'm GoodSpeed. Trying to think of defending those with, maybe like a 9 vet Ulan shipment coming at me or something like that. So I think that's what GoodSpeed's got to be worried about next. Stable coming down, which I think is absolutely the right call. It's going to need some sort of a little bit more sustained anti-cavalry than the pikes, and it looks like Dragoon Longbow going to be the composition of choice here from GoodSpeed.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice to go for. The other thing to keep in mind is that he has to pay for veterancy on his longbows, which is it's just another spend, right? Like, there's another 400 resources down the drain. And look at the economic position. 4 vills is the gap, and it's a full houseboom. I mean, Germany is just so strong right now, and we are going to see that it doesn't matter if you get away with a full houseboom as British. Like, your eco's not even ahead, and you still have to deal with the big 4. So the big 4 being 9 Ulhan, 8 Ulhan, and then 8 skirm, 7 skirm.
Each accompanied by, of course, 3 Ulans because you are playing Germany once again. And I mean, here they are, right? Here comes that 8 skirm shipment. We've got some Ulans that have been trained. We have the veterancy upgrade. And this is where, this is going to be starting to be kind of the scary point. Now, GoodSpeed does have a decent number of longbows, but they aren't upgraded just yet. The pikes, of course, aren't upgraded either and aren't going to be. They are actually going to be upgraded. So the veterancy pike upgrade is there. Veteran longbowman also is just about ready to complete. So perhaps buying himself a little bit more time, and like we mentioned, each time he buys himself a little bit more time, he's rewarded with an additional hunt.
Yes, exactly.
And he lives to see another day. So.
Ooh, this is a weak point of GoodSpeed as well, though. GoodSpeed's not the best multitasker, and it looks like Tibia, being a team game player, is very comfortable. 2 Ulans this way, 2 Ulans that way, just kind of a couple all over the map. And I'm wondering if that's not going to be what causes GoodSpeed the most trouble here. The other thing is, by getting pushed back, he didn't put. Usually, you want to wait for 2 shipments on German, and good thing for Tibia is he didn't end up getting engaged there before he was ready. You see how much scarier it looks when the second shipment's in. Like that's like a lot of Ulan, 25 cav.
Yeah, that is a ton of Ulan, and I mean, realistically, there's not enough anti-cav on the field. Well, there maybe is. There's 30 pikes out here with the 2 dragoons, but pikes aren't going to be standing up to the kiting pressure that's going to be here. And as we see the 5 Hussar shipment come in,
I like that a lot.
I like it a lot too, but it also highlights kind of a flaw that we've already mentioned once, but I think it's worth mentioning again. All of these units have to be upgraded. If you think about, the prospect of upgrading to veterancy upgrades on your Hussar, that's just another 400 resources that you have to spend, which is even more taxing on your economy. But Hussar running their way forward. Let's see whether or not they're currently being upgraded. They're not. Being upgraded, but it looks like GoodSpeed has decided now's the time. 7 skirmishers coming in for Tibia, and it looks like this is perhaps going to be the fight. The 7 skirms working their way in from the town.
Full volley on 1 pike.
While this is looking a little bit scary, I mean, Tibia does have Minutemen available. Looks like he's going to probably be forced to call those. There they are.
Nice retreat by GoodSpeed.
Yeah, and this is looking pretty good for GoodSpeed. Looking like he's going to back out. There are still a ton of Ulans here. There are 30 Ulans, but there's also 40 Pikes in this mix as well. So
and
it's not
15 Hus.
Yeah, it's not like GoodSpeed is completely caught without any response. And of course, the longbows do have a lot of range, so they are going to be able to pick off units as they're retreating and kiting, and that kind of benefits them as well. So, and each time, GoodSpeed is able to get out on the map,
he earns another hunt.
He earns himself another hunt. It's
like the carrot for him, right?
Yeah.
Good job. Here's your hunt.
Here's your hunt. You get to continue to play the game with your economic greed. I say economic greed, but if you look at the eco unit pops, I mean, they're still fairly close. And when you consider the 2 stagecoach TPs, I mean, Tibia is probably still ahead in terms of eco at this point in the game. Realistically, I don't think it's that would be too bold of a claim to make whatsoever. But GoodSpeed's military population certainly looking good. It's got all the upgrades he really needs: veteran longbow, veteran pike, veteran hussar. And a big raid coming in here. This could be a very bad news.
Yeah, and this is what happens when your units aren't on the map. This is almost 20 villagers going to get caught here. I'm not sure, based on the way the huts are engaged, it's not going to be too painful. And another thing I wanted to point out is that I like what Tibia is doing here. He's going for a doppel, like a tech switch into doppels, because doppels kind of wreck pikes and hussar. So, having 15 to 20 vet doppels in there is going to be actually incredibly strong against this composition. And, as we all know, longbow don't hit and run, so you can't exactly kite doppels with longbow. So I'm really interested to see how that pans out for him.
Yeah, we'll have to see. He doesn't have the upgrade for them just yet. Let's see if it's being researched. It is being researched right now, so soon he will have the veteran upgrade for his double signers. I wouldn't be too surprised, I guess, by that in that way to see 5 Doppelsigner come out as his next card as well instead of 8 Ulan, and I think that might be a reasonable choice, to be honest, at this point in the game.
Yeah, Doppels are a pretty cool unit. I feel like there's opportunities to use them that we haven't seen yet, and this might be one of them. Unfortunately, though, at the same time, Tibia got zoned incredibly hard off of gold there, and all these vills are gathering resources that just don't matter for Tibia right now. And look at this. This game's incredible, actually, when you think about it. GoodSpeed's at 190 pop. He's popped out at 190, and Tibia's sitting at 170, and there has not been a single engagement yet that's been decisive or firm, right? And we're about to see it right here, I think.
The next engagement, whenever it happens, is going to be absolutely explosive. It's going
There's the 5 doppels.
There's the 5 doppels.
This has to be go time for Tibia. Yeah. I mean, if it's not now, then I guess he just can wait, because GoodSpeed's done. He's maxed. So
yeah, his army isn't getting any scarier. I mean, at this point, he's just going to start banking for the next.
Those trees are just wrecking Tibia right now, but the doppels are going to get all over the longbow, and that's almost a good thing, because when the longbow are gone, the doppels reign supreme. Doppels all over the longbow. There, GoodSpeed's army is just standing still. He cannot get it up there to move, and now they're starting to move a little bit, but I'm not even sure what to say here. Finally, he's getting his units moving. The longbow are just blocking them off for the longest time, and units just not getting in there. Doppel's cleaning up everything, and I think with 20 skirms in the background, this is going to be a cleanup for Tibia.
Yeah, there are so many dops. There's so many dops.
And exactly. The green numbers are just flying, or the red numbers are flying in the air. But wow, somehow through all of that, there's still 5 hussar left in there on the skirms. So I think. Yeah. Against my judgment, that fight went in GoodSpeed's favor.
Well, if we do have to recall at the start of that fight, the GoodSpeed was almost 20 or 30 military population ahead.
True.
So, despite the fact that Tibia, looks like he's losing this fight, he probably came out above even in terms of just raw units being traded there. But GoodSpeed, and I think the scary thing is here. Now GoodSpeed is out on the map. Ooh, that is going to be a dirty Ulan shipment, though.
Yeah, that's going to do some damage.
In fact, it's going to clean up everything. And now this is Tibia's chance, right? He's got these remaining 8 Ulans from the shipment. GoodSpeed's just sent 2 Falconets, not a scary card, but now look at where GoodSpeed's villagers are. They are scattered to the wind in large pockets, with not a great formulated response to 8 Ulans, and immediately starting to look around the map for where
I like this, too. You see how GoodSpeed strategically placed a few hussar just for vision? He's got a few pikes here. So he's actually kind of trying to be ready for this, which is not normal GoodSpeed. Normally he just doesn't care, but I like it. I like that he's ready to defend the raids.
Yeah, and he's starting the transition over to Must Cuss as well, which is going to make dealing with these Ulans a lot easier as well. The important thing for GoodSpeed to convert this game into a win is going to be not to get raided to pieces, and as long as he can avoid the Ulan raids for the next couple minutes while he just remasses, gets together his army, and then makes a conceded push on top of the town center with the 2 Falconets, he's going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I would also add on to this, Tibia, both players terribly mismacroed right now from all the chaos, which is to be understood, but the way Tibia's mismacroed is far worse. Tibia had 1,200 wood, GoodSpeed had 1,200 food, and as British, if you have a big bank of food and when the hunts are starting to run out, it's okay, you just go chop some wood, mine some gold, and make your units. It actually isn't a terrible thing because, hunts are gone anyway, so it's nice to have the bank. But for Tibia, what do you do with 1,200 wood as German? You already got 200 house pop. I guess you just make a TC and sell the rest because you made a mistake.
Yeah, at that point, I think that's a correct assessment. But realistically, look at the remassing behind all this as well, right?
Yes,
it's not just that. That Tibia, lost the fight and then he lives to see another day because the Ulan shipment pops out. They go about even. Economic unit population still about the same, but because GoodSpeed's been all over the map gathering from the remaining hunts, his remass was just insanely better. Military unit population's 82 to 22 at this point in the game, and now GoodSpeed is free to move wherever he wants on the map. He's got these 2 Falconets which can threaten the infrastructure of his opponent quite nice. Jaegers coming out. I mean, it's a shot in the dark. If the Jaegers can't win it, I think it's fair to assume that this game is going to go in Brit's favor.
Yeah, and I don't see how Jaegers can win it, mainly because you've got a lot of Hussar and the 2 Falk shipment that you have no way of dealing with. Artillery Foundry going up for a single cult, which I like that. You're going to need it if you get pushed in, but at the same time, you're kind of behind on everything here. Half military population, and it's not like it's 6 to 12, it's 60 to 120. So there is a huge deficit that Tibia is kind of pushing against.
Yeah. The impressive thing to me behind all this is the economic unit populations are still basically bang on even. I mean, Tibia's done a good job of keeping his eco in line with GoodSpeed's this whole time, but GoodSpeed has just been hunting far more, and I think that's just a reflection of the current state of the game. It's just GoodSpeed's been hunting, he's been able to gather more food, and as a result, has just been able to amass a much larger army. And now that this town center has been found out about, there is no real response here from Tibia. It looks like he's just going to be pushing back out across the middle of the map. I think GoodSpeed's going to be perfectly fine with just sacking that, knowing that, hey, if I can get a full surround on this town center, kill every single one of these villagers, it doesn't matter if I lose 5 or 6 villagers in the middle of the map. Because I'm going to kill, 15 or so odd economic unit population here. Minutemen being called, getting 1 volley off on the Falconets. The villager's going to make a run for it, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Ooh, although, that being said, big raid coming over here. GoodSpeed
with an answer
forced to respond, yeah. GoodSpeed forced to respond.
And these Jaegers up here, geez, I mean, this game is so over for Tibia right now. There's just no way those Jaegers are going to do any damage or ever live. They may get 2 bills tops. Nope, GoodSpeed is really. I think GoodSpeed's not. Maybe not. I don't know if he's been practicing or not, but he's definitely trying his hardest. I can tell.
Yeah. There it is. GG.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Well done by GoodSpeed there. Really, really good timing in my opinion. He aged at the exact same time as the German guy did with a slow age up politician, and then just rolled that into a huge mess. And I think the magic was the 15 regular Hussar, which forced a double switch out of Tibia. So cool game to name.
I want to look at the military unit population. Yeah, so we can see that military unit population. GoodSpeed was at 138-ish versus Tibia's 115. So he was a solid 23 plus military population they had. And if we look at where they end about that same difference, about 30 apart. So it was a fairly good fight, but then just look at the remass for GoodSpeed. It was just that much more brutal just because of his large food bank and his improved economy. And as a result, Once you get back up to 127 and your opponent's still putzing around at 71, it's going to be really difficult for them to recover. But a game of inches there. Had that fight, had those dots maybe been a little bit more effective, or maybe that 8 Ulan shipment comes slightly earlier, things could have been maybe a little bit different in that game, because GoodSpeed was maxed out. He was at basically 200 population, and had Tibia been able to smash that fight in his base, potentially could have gone the other way. So
yeah, and the other thing I want to mention, if you look at the villager populations, they're equal the whole game. But you look at the all resources gathered, and GoodSpeed managed to gather a whopping 5,000? Yeah, sorry, 50,000. Wow, whopping 5,000 more resources. And that just goes to more efficient gathering, right? If you think about how the game went, Tibia was often running vills and getting zoned in different spots on the map, and just overall inefficient vill movement kind of cost him about 5,000 resources. And he even had Stagecoach working for him, I believe, in this game. Yeah, he did. So just that made a huge difference on its own.
Yep, I completely agree. I love looking back at the chat when it's like 2 minutes behind.
Yeah, me too. Need Culver's ASAP. Unfortunately, that one didn't pan out.
Or Tibia after the game goes into the chat and says Tibia coming back or something like that. It's like cheering for himself, 2 minutes later.
I like that. That's funny. They gotta change the map. I don't want to accept the map from him either, because I don't want to get screwed over.
It's Manchuria 2. He's got Manchuria currently selected. I told him to switch to Baja.
The thing is, I also own that map already. It's asking me to transfer, so that's concerning to me.
I see.
I'm gonna need a 2-minute bathroom break here once I get in the game.
All right. Well, I want to take a 2-minute bathroom break as well, so let's just take a 2-minute bathroom break.
Toss the overlay. We'll be back in a minute.
All right, guys, we're back. Just need a quick little bathroom break. Happens when you've been up casting stream for the past 5 hours, I guess. But we're back now, and I think we're ready for. Game number 2 between Tibia and GoodSpeed. Looks like Tibia going to be playing French. GoodSpeed opting for Japan. One of my favorite matchups in the entire game, French versus Japan. It's just a matchup that I've played a lot, and I think it's just kind of a fun one to play. Kind of like a nice back and forth push and pull matchup.
Yeah.
But introducing the players spawning in the bottom right side of the map, or I guess just the right side of the map in the 3 o'clock position. Playing the Japanese civilization is the one and only GoodSpeed. And his opponent playing the French civilization spawning on the left side of the map. In the 9 o'clock position, the blue French is Tibia. And we'll just follow one of these scouts around a little bit. And like I mentioned, this is one of my favorite matchups. I don't think that we'll see crossbow pike, which was like kind of the old meta way to approach this matchup. But I'm curious to see how Tibia, kind of one of the maybe a more current, up-to-date meta player, likes to play this matchup. And similarly, how GoodSpeed will approach it from the Japanese side. If he'll approach it from the fan patch perspective, or just tries to do some sort of FF. I'm just curious to see what the state of this matchup currently is, and well, I guess we're about to find out.
So it's interesting that you say that. I want to know. I guess people probably don't even know what the fan patch builds are, but in general, they're less economic builds. That helps anyone. But I'm kind of interested to see too, because I have my own perception of how to easily win this matchup as France, which it probably is not Tibia's. So we'll see. We'll see what Tibia ends up doing, and I think Tibia is going to set the pace of the game for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's in French's best interest to make sure that Japan doesn't just get completely carried away. In terms of eco, this is another Civ Japan, kind of like Brits we mentioned right in the last game, where if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, right? If you give them 8 minutes in their base to build as many shrines as they want, they're going to fall behind. You're going to end up probably losing as a result of them just having a far better economy than you. We'll see what ends up happening.
Then that was him missing a pass on the coach. It doesn't really matter because he's already got his Ville shipment on the way. But what's interesting is when you say that is that this matchup may not be as bad as it used to feel to people. There's new builds now with these Euro Civs where you're getting Stagecoach and able to keep up with Japan for like the first 10 minutes, even with the Shrine Boom. If you have it, you can kind of do a mixture of Stagecoach and like 5 pikes or 5 expo, a little bit, just like a little bit sprinkled on there just to put the pressure on while you're doing your own boom. So
yeah, and we'll see how that ends up panning out. How do you feel about like maybe even the options of doing like musket? I know there's a bunch of players like King Eric and Prince of Kabul, people like that who the times I've seen them play this matchup, they just go like dual racks musket and play really aggressively. Up in your face with dual racks musket. We'll see whether or not maybe that's an option for Tibia as well.
Yeah, and I think that's an option too. And I think the fact that we have so many different options on the table for both players kind of speaks to how well balanced the game is at this point with the new maps and some of the minor tweaks to a few civs. But kind of interesting that you mentioned that. I like going to the 5 to 10 pike route just because muskets don't really do too well against any of Japan's units, and pikes don't either. But what's good about them is that they're fast, they train fast, and they're just all siege. So they put Japan on a clock much more effectively than the muskets do.
Yeah.
But either ways are both possible. So
I mean, it's the versatility versus the versatility of the musket versus the more defined role that the pike serves in actually killing shrines, right? That's essentially why you get pikes, is to kill shrines. But we'll see what happens. Sugar Shrine coming up for GoodSpeed in the back of his base. Of course, he has gone Portuguese consulate. Tibia going to be as annoying as possible with these 2 native scouts punching away on one of these villagers. Hopefully, GoodSpeed takes note of that.
I'm sure he will. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard one to miss. There's just 2 Native Americans raiding his village.
Well, I don't know. He hasn't. There he goes. He's gonna...
It's good that he did that. I mean, he got a vill down to 30 HP, and he also made GoodSpeed move a couple of vills around. Better than nothing. We can see Stagecoach. The in transition Stagecoach build is what we are seeing, right? So it's 2 TP before market. It's really all about getting a strong economic advantage set up while still forward basing and getting a couple pikes.
Yeah. Have you noticed his card progression as well? He's snuck economic theory in there as well. Has Tibia.
Really?
Yeah.
I have never tried that, so I'll be interested to see.
It'll be curious to see whether or not it pays off. Whether or not he should just looking at the experience ticker have enough XP to send a card immediately upon aging, and as long as that's true, you can send that 700 wood. Or should realistically have I have no issues with this sneaking in the economic theory. Just going to make your economy that much better. And here does come the barracks being pwned up in the middle of the map, and it looks like he's going to take all 3 trading sites.
Correct.
And his economy is going to be pretty good here. I mean, French economy is already pretty good, and GoodSpeed is building shrines to the best of his abilities, up to 80 shrine pop currently. But Tibia's economy with economic theory and 3 Stagecoach TPs, combined with the fact that he is French, he's got CDBs, which are already slightly better than villagers anyways, and going to have pretty decent market upgrades at some point as well. One could assume going to have a fairly formidable economy of his own. And there comes the 700 wood, and we'll see the first batch pike here coming momentarily, I would assume, and then the pressure will be on.
Yeah, I really want to see when Stagecoach is coming, because Stagecoach hasn't been started yet. And the other thing you got to remember with this build is look at where Tibia is right now from a market text. He doesn't have a market, and that's not something that we're used to seeing on France, period, right? So he's really opting to get the villager count up through Stagecoach before that.
Yep.
Interesting. He could catch the shrine in progress, but it looks like he's not going to quite get there.
I mean, it'll end up going down, but it certainly would.
The coach is in.
The coach has arrived, and here comes the market as well, right around where you've pinged as well.
Yeah.
So his economy looking to be good, and I like this from Tibia. 10 pikes, adding in a second Rex. I don't know that he explicitly needs to add in too many more pikes from this point forward.
No.
Assuming his end goal is to age up, which I would assume it is. I think 4 CDB and then following it up with 700 coin is likely going to be his option. We can see GoodSpeed just sending crates. Looks like GoodSpeed's planning on aging up himself here with the... is he planning on aging up? What is it? What's that 600 coin going to be used for otherwise?
It's got to be to age up, unless he's just going to make a bunch of ashy because he realizes under pressure. But once again, I mean, look at this. You're talking kind of like what we saw in the last game, where it was like, Brits is the economic civ, German is the aggressive civ. We saw that those roles are no longer so defined with this meta where it is today. And I think we're seeing the exact same thing happen here, right? Economic population with interjections calculator only puts GoodSpeed up by 5 villagers, and that's not factoring in 12 villagers worth of Stagecoach TPs.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you've got Tibia, who's at an economic advantage here in a game that normally you're not used to saying that. It's not like he did a rush to get the advantage. He's just playing a solid game style as France.
Yep. Certainly his economy is going to be a force to be reckoned with the longer this game goes. 600 coin coming as another shipment for GoodSpeed, and that's almost certainly going to be used to age up. Taking a look at the market text for GoodSpeed, they seem to be fairly on point. He's got the second cherry upgrade, Yazuki Lanterns, I think it's called, something like that. Do you know the name of that? Oh, I was close. Yazakura Lanterns.
I had no idea. I just call it like this. I don't know, 65. I just think in terms of the cost.
Cherry upgrade number 2. He's also got blanket filters and civil servants working for him as well. So decent market upgrades. No imperial bureaucracy just yet, and we almost never see Flumen ditching with Japan at this point in the game. So I don't expect to see that. Oh, a little bit of a head-on collision coming here. 1 unit traded for each side.
The thing is, The thing is, I think that GoodSpeed's A is going H2 here for sure, and then B, look at how rich Tibia is. He's just there's so much he can be doing right now. He's got Senator Coin coming in. He's going to H himself with the exact same military position and a better economy. So, France is pulling ahead here.
Yeah, he looks to be in a great position moving forward here. GoodSpeed, his economy. I mean, he's at 130 shrine pop, which isn't great. I mean, it's not poor, right? It's not like his economy's super far behind, but he's just realistically got no way to get out of his base to deal with these pikes, and so these 5 pikes just keep roaming around the map and just keep sieging down his shrines. And I mean, like, even the explorer himself has almost killed another one here, and as the infantry continues to mount and continues to pressure out the front side of his base, that's a very real threat. The GoodSpeed at some point has to bust out to be able to shut down, and he's a pretty long ways away from being able to be able to
Tibia's
get delicate resources over to that side of the map.
Tibia is halfway to Fortress as well. Even with this good timing from GoodSpeed, the stable's just finishing now, and so there's not going to be Cav are key here because they snare and force the fight to happen here and now. And there's nothing that does that for GoodSpeed right now. And Tibia will be up long before then with goons on the way. So, even losing this TP, he's still in a fine economic position. 10 pikes are still up here, just working away on the shrines, and he's kiting with his crossbows. So,
yeah. And realistically, GoodSpeed's a pretty long ways off being able to age himself. I mean,
he's committed to Colonial, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just looking at his resource stacking, though, it feels to me like he wants to age.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe he's got 1 Nagi in queue, so we'll see if he decides to pump that up to 5.
There it is.
Oh, he's got 6 coming out. Maybe. Yeah. Oh no, that's over queue. I forgot. Okay, yeah. I thought he had Bushido tactics, and it's like 10 of them.
No, he is committing to the H2 play, and
I think that's the right move from him right now.
It's the only move right now from him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
he needs to keep these 5 pikes alive.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Here do come the Nagis. There are not a terribly high amount of anti-cav. 5 Dragoons coming forward, that's definitely going to help, but they aren't here just now. The Nag's going to be closing in a little bit. The Pike's trying to step forward to buy a little bit of time, but GoodSpeed's got a decent, massive infantry. 5 Dragoons trickling in here from the left-hand side. Pike's taking quite a bit of damage, but also buying him a little bit more time. And this is looking pretty good. The skirmishers and crossbows pushing back the Japanese infantry quite nicely, and as a result, Tibia holds just fine. And behind this, we have to consider the fact that there's still 3 stagecoach TPs. There's economic theory that's been sent this game. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
And Tibia is a full age in terms of tech ahead. So as long as he can continue to not die to this immediate push, GoodSpeed realistically not in any position to be aging anytime soon. And well, his army is only going to improve his blues at this point in the game.
Yeah, and I think only the thing to keep an eye on is the fact that this stable did go up and batches are not coming out right away. Ooh, a little misstep here, losing 2 units. Not the end of the rope, 2 skirms going down, but the key is going to be there. Only 3 goons coming out, and the question is, can Tibia set up enough goons so our Nagis don't just space roll them? Because there's going to be another 5 coming, and GoodSpeed is very persistently sending those Nagi into the fight here.
And Tibia also pop capped here momentarily, which means nothing additionally is going to be in queue or trained up here for the time being. So he's only going to have those, for the moment, 17 skirms and 8 goons. And this could be, once again, kind of a scary timing here. GoodSpeed's got a lot of Yumis. He's got a lot of Nagis. And this is maybe the fight that he's looking for, just going to crash everything in.
And these pikes are doing a great job up in the front, though, just buying those extra few seconds for a couple more goon volleys and doing a ton of damage. And the Nagi line just kind of melted here, actually. Yeah. But at the same time, Yumi on skirm is not necessarily the worst thing to be. Only 1 Nagi on this batch is actually quite huge for GoodSpeed. Reinforcing with some Ashi, I guess he's fearing Cuirassiers, which is exactly what Tibia has in queue. He sent 3, he's got 5 that are about to pop. And so I think he can still just crush only 10 Ashi in the mix. I think he can still just crush it with 8 Cuirassiers.
Yeah, especially with these remaining skirmishers and their extra range that they do provide is going to allow him to just continue to kite the Ashis, despite the fact that the mass isn't quite there. And What do we got going on here? Oh, a couple clubs sieging on that. I definitely like that. It's good for GoodSpeed to be proactively trying to take the economic game back into his favor. But these cuirassiers are going to be very scary and very difficult for GoodSpeed to deal with.
Yeah, we look at the units in queue again for GoodSpeed. It's Yumis and Nagis. So he could get face rolled by this cuirassier right here if they just get the auto. One attack is all they need. There we go. And now they've engaged. GoodSpeed resigns on it. Wow. Well played by Tibia.
Yep. And takes map number 2.
And just think about what this game looks like, right? This is not what you expect to see when you think of Japan. Japan was under pressure to get out and make something happen in this game. Look at Tibia setting up a town center, and it just blows me away that we're at this point now where any civ can be the aggressor or the boomy civ, which is nice to see. So, well done by Tibia.
One thing I'm very happy about in seeing Japan lose is that when I do decide to play, and I almost always when I do play Japan, it seems like the amount of complaints, like nothing has changed really in the state of Japan, right? Like they're the same civ they've always been, essentially. I mean, walls have been like changed slightly, so some of the like turtley styles that people got annoyed with are a little bit less effective, but people used to complain about how OP Japan was and how strong Japan is. Like, you can't play Japan. They're like the best civ in the game, and I think everyone's past that point, right? Where Japan has been figured out enough that it's like, you know what, like they're good if you let them do what they're good at, but if you just control the game and apply the correct type and amount of pressure, they're really not the big two-headed monster that we used to think they were. So it makes me happy.
Yeah, exactly. I like it a lot, and I think I've been, we've talked about this a lot. I've said Japan's been a mediocre at best civ for years now, and it's nice to see that everyone else is kind of feeling the same way. Yeah, I like that. This is like the first time we've seen it in a big tournament stream be showcased, which is nice. Well done by Tibia, pulling out that it's not an easy style to pull off either. You have to be doing a lot. You have to be constantly, building houses, altering your TP settings, building units out of 3 different places, and it's not an easy style to pull off. So good job by both players, really.
Bengal is the next map. This is the first third game that we've gotten to in this set of games so far today. So Bengal will be the next map in the map pool in this best of 3. And the winner of this will advance to the round of 32. Currently tied 1 game apiece. So all civs now are unlocked. Tibia picks first, and we'll see what he has. Whether or not he'll dart back to his Germans, or perhaps stick with the success of the French that he just had, because he seemed to show a pretty good understanding of the French civilization with this last game, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see him just stick it out with French again. Especially when it's Bengal. Do you really want to play Germans on Bengal? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't want to play. I don't know what the thing you want to play on Bengal is kind of like map control civ. So you might even want to pull out your Russia or your India here.
Yeah, India. I think India is a very solid choice.
Yeah.
Because they have 5. Tibia still hasn't confirmed whether or not French is going to be the choice.
Wow, I think Soldier lost to Risi.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, he did. He said he lost. So major upset coming through there. Wow, breaking news. Risi 123 new OP. So.
That guy's. I mean, he's obviously been improving though, right? I mean,
He's PR 33.
Yeah, you and I both remember him as like a PR 29 team game player, and like now he's up to PR 33, which is no small task in like the current activity of the game, right? I mean, at one point PR 33 was much easier to get to than it is, currently, just because there's more people to play and there's more PR in the system. It makes it a little bit easier to get to, but quite an upset there.
Yeah, exactly.
We've had all sorts of upsets.
I know, honestly, this has been. I really do think that this is going to be our best tournament that we've had so far. Just the amount of the caliber of all the players and the number of people who are kind of rising stars coming out of the group stage who are really like Tibia is another one of those guys who came out of group stage, right? So
yep.
It's really exciting to see these guys who are very good still make their way through the group stage and come out with some well-planned strategies like this. So.
And I mean, let's be honest, that last game, it's not like it ever felt like Tibia was out of control, right? I mean, it felt like he was in control that entire game. He had his agenda, stuck to it, and looked really good doing it. Even the German game, I mean, he looked pretty good in the German game. I mean, one small slip up was really all it took. That one bad, well, it wasn't even a bad fight, but just got slightly behind. But I mean, I think GoodSpeed played his Brits well in that game as well, and well, we'll see what ends up happening. Game number 3 here. I think a lot of people have GoodSpeed down as the undisputed winner of this matchup, but I mean, these best of 3s, they can be tricky. All you have to do is be able to play 2 civs really well, and well, hell, you can even only be able to play 1 civ well and win with it twice, and you're on the board. It looks like Tibia going to be sticking with French. GoodSpeed electing to play the British civilization. And it looks like it's going to be the classical Brit-French matchup. Here we go. Game number 3. Loading in on Bengal is the last map for this best of 3. And matchup going to be played between Tibia and GoodSpeed, of course. GoodSpeed going to be playing the green Brits, and Tibia going to be playing the blue French. Oh.
Here we go.
TVB, you ready? I'm ready. What team am I on? Whose team am I on?
It's FFA. I'm gonna smash you.
Is it FFA? I think I'm on someone's team, aren't I?
No. And I can see all of Tibia and GoodSpeed shit.
Yeah, it's OP. It's like I've got map packs on. This must be what it's like to play with map packs. I forgot to gather my crates in there. Let's see.
I like how they haven't said anything yet. Yeah. Are they playing? Yeah, they're playing. Well, I also have full vision of the map.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna run my scouts right to Tibia's base and start attacking the scout center.
This is the map that I said we had issues with. There's a version that was distributed that didn't have OBS installed in it correctly, and now
I see.
I'm very sad because I have to pull it out of the archive once again because I've accepted this map and been infected.
You've been infected by the virus.
Yeah. God, I hope that this archive I have has the new file in it. I'm gonna test it by myself right now.
I'm gonna. I'll guess I'll delete this file.
Yeah, just delete the Bengal. Here we go again.
ESO Bengal. This one.
Yeah, this map works.
Okay, good.
You don't need to restart your game either, actually, because yeah, the files aren't cached anywhere. So like when you log in, it'll know you don't have the map right away.
The chat has caught up. Play it out. Watching me play. Alright, I'm getting the map now.
Alright. Yep, we're waiting on GoodSpeed.
We should have like 3-man rushed Tibia. Just like 3-man pike rushed him. See what he says. It would have been hilarious. Sui Magic is online.
Oh, can I get a close up on the Sui?
Do you remember that day 9 clip that Vic submitted?
Which one?
The day 9 one where it's like he was on like a Fun Day Monday where you were supposed to like submit the worst teammates you've ever had or something like that, and Vic was like playing like 2v2 random like in StarCraft, and it just had like the worst guy ever on his team. Like it was just horrible. It was just one of the.
Wait, so he was on day 9 dailies for that?
Yeah.
Fun Day Monday. That's hilarious.
It was great. It's one of my favorite sound bites ever.
I'm pretty happy that we're able to consistently get 250 viewers without the backing of Microsoft. It's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this channel's really grown a lot in recent times, which is good for it and good for the community. I think just in whole to try and be able to sustain ourselves makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, with Microsoft so up in the air, it's kind of hard to tell if we'll be back on Age of Empires ever, or ESOC TV has to be the new channel. But either way, Tibia should be hosting any minute now. So
yeah, I see he's hosted. He's got GoodSpeed there. All right, here we go. I'm in. We got Sui Magic in chat. Made my day.
I like it. Zoe boy. This is probably Samwise 12.
No, it's Vic. It's
is it actually?
Yeah, it's actually Vic. It's definitely Vic. All right, here we go. Take 3. Take 2. Take 2, game number 3. Of course, we had agreed to the matchup before. It's going to be French versus Brit. Hopefully this time I'm not forced to play. A little bit of TVB action was about to happen. But here we go. Game number 3.
No top versus bottom this time.
Yeah, no TVB. We're going to keep it a little bit more standard. Tibia versus GoodSpeed, game number 3, spawning in on Bengal, the non-trading post map. In this set, Spawning in the 2 o'clock position, playing the French, in the color blue, is Tibia. And his opponent spawning in the 11 o'clock position, or maybe 10 o'clock position, maybe 10:30, about 10:30. Playing the green Brits is GoodSpeed. And once we get loaded in here, everyone has got the recorded game finished processing. There we go. Here we are, 300 wood start. And, well, this is for all the marbles, as it were. The winner of this will move on to the round of 32. After GoodSpeed took game number 1 and Tibia took game number 2. We will see where that leaves us moving forward. Tibia has elected to play the French, the civ that he did successfully win with in the second game. And GoodSpeed swapping back over to Brit, also the game civilization that he was successful in winning with. So see what happens. let the lag cool off. Oh, he clicked screenshot. I see.
Subtle attempt at OSing the game. I see how it is too.
Taking that little screenshot.
So one other thing. Oh yeah, he was spamming it. Oh, because trying to increment the counters, he must have like 1,000 screenshots in there, and is trying to like do something to tell which screenshot number to do. Anyway, 50 wood here. Tibia already getting 50 wood, which is kind of interesting. So he's likely to get 100 wood, which is the best thing on the map. I've already kind of scouted it out a bit. GoodSpeed, although map hacking his way straight to 50 wood, it looks like. I mean, this is like a very shady level of approaching that wood treasure. Like, what is he doing?
Just running straight to it. Both players going to arrive at it at the same time, actually.
Neither one has a crack shot yet for a good 10 or so seconds, I would imagine. And that's going to spell this treasure going to probably going to Tibia, as GoodSpeed wants to get out of there. What's going to happen here?
Yeah, it's going to be tricky. The advantage for the French is, of course, that he does have the native scout that can come over and start adding a little bit of extra DPS. Yeah. So GoodSpeed, it looks like he's just going to take his chance. Crack shots at Tibia, I think, got it.
Tibia, yeah, it's all Tibia. Yeah. Well done by him too. Taking, he was watching for the crack shot and was ready, and he's gonna be at 100 wood now, and I don't see GoodSpeed really being able to get any treasures beyond that now.
Yeah, definitely a nice little advantage for him. Also does have his market coming up here as well, or does have his market complete. And will soon probably be researching his... Well, did he already research his hunting dogs? Yes, he did already get his hunting dogs. So that 50 wood just in addition. But already has his hunting dogs down. And GoodSpeed just opening up with the 2 manners of his own. So in the first game, I don't know if you realized or not, GoodSpeed sent Virginia Company as his first card.
I did not.
Yeah.
Which explains why the ecos were so close, despite 200 house pop. So.
Yeah, so GoodSpeed did not send the 3 villagers in the first game, only sent Virginia Company. And house boomed like crazy in the transition. That's not going to be the case here. We're almost certainly going to see 3 villagers coming out for the British player in this particular map. But as a trade-off, he's not going to have those slightly... No, he is. He still just went straight up Virginia Company as his first card.
Yeah, and what concerns me about that is well, I guess that doesn't concern me. What I'm more concerned about is Tibia's side of the table here, because he does not have access to the trade line, and that's the key mechanism that's giving France and Germany the ability to kind of hop over eco if they want to, or attack really fast if they just get a single TP. And so this kind of leaves a very linear play option for the France player. They just kind of have to play H2 maybe and hold the map. I'm not sure what you can do without TPs against British. So
I think you Samwise build here from an aggressive forward position, honestly, especially when GoodSpeed has committed to going with this economically focused Virginia Company play. If you just drop down like a stable and a Rax on these 2 islands, play the contained game and get out 5 Hussar and 3 muskets, and just go and aggressively push on top of his hunts when he's trying to do this greedy Virginia Company build, I don't see too many situations where you're not fairly successful in containing his hunt and thus containing the game from that point forward.
Is GoodSpeed aging? He has 0 villagers in the queue? I'm so confused. He has no villagers in the queue.
Yeah,
he's chopping wood.
He's aging.
Oh, okay.
He's at 15 pop, remember, because he's
he skipped 3 vills, yeah.
3 vills, so.
Okay, I'm just bad at this game, or bad at this UI. One of those two.
Yeah, combination of both, maybe.
Probably both, yeah.
Tibia does have 2 villagers up here out front, and I think we are going to see some aggressive Musk cosplay out of him. He is gathering a little bit of coins, so I don't think that we'll see him do crossbow pike or anything like that. And I think this is incredibly greedy by GoodSpeed. Look at how thin he's spreading out. I mean, sure, he's giving himself a lot of vision, and he's trying to control the map in that way, but he's not going to have a ton of military units with all these houses he's been building. I mean, look at his resource count, right? He's not even close to having the 200 wood required to build a barracks, and it's not in the queue just yet.
He's going for a late double type of deal, like with Japan, where he's not raxing until 700's in, and Tibia is just slamming down the racks right away. He's gonna make him have an answer to that.
Yep.
So we'll see if he does. Like as you mentioned, there's vills here and here, just everywhere, right? There's even one here. They're just kind of scattered about.
It's straight up dual racks. This could even just be like dual racks Musk rush or something like that. I mean, take a look at the resources.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's. We'll take a look at the units in queue, and yeah, indeed, there's 3 Musk in queue for Tibia. 2 racks is being built by GoodSpeed right now. I think he should have the time. And look at this is the important thing from GoodSpeed. This is reminiscent of Japan style play. This looks like a Brit player playing as Japan, essentially, right here, where you have like the full building wall out front of your base. He's got the 2 racks is coming up in tandem at the same build percentage in the back of his base. This is essentially Japan being played in the form of the British civilization.
What scares me is that this bill is going for free, and so is this one. But then beyond that, the positives are he's got a whole bunch of hunt in this corner, right? And having that hunt in his corner is going to be immensely helpful to him. Looks like he's even going to save one of the villagers. I mean, part of me thinks there's no way in hell that villager's making it all the way to the TC, but it's all Tibia's control here. It looks like he's a small misstep from Tibia may just save that villager.
Oh, it's so close.
He saves it.
Saved it. I'm a little disappointed that Tibia has the dual racks with the muskets as well. I would have felt a lot better had there been hussars reinforcing this, just because you know your opponent's going to be training longbows, right? Especially when he sees muskets. There's no doubt in your mind that he's going to be training longbows. And had you followed this up with 5 hussar, had 5 hussar come here, you maybe could have just busted down the gates and slammed them right in and punished him. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. The longbow is going to be perfectly safe behind this line of manor houses. And now it's starting to feel a little bit awkward for Tibia. How do you push in here? How do you control the map? Realistically, you're probably going to have to look to try and deny this location for as long as possible and make it as awkward for GoodSpeed as possible to get out there. And, well, that's not exactly trivial when you've got this many longbows starting to build up and you've only got musketeers and no cavalry response. There has been a stable constructed here in the back, it looks like, which I think is definitely going to help. And as we see these first couple of hussar pop out, I think that's going to be the key for him moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm looking at total. I'm just going to keep my ticker on total resources just for the sake of some diversity here, because I think what's going to be interesting is how many resources can GoodSpeed actually gather with these villagers while they're getting constantly belled up and having to path through all this giant maze of houses. It looks like a corn maze over here trying to get through.
Yeah, and here we mentioned he's trying to sneak out here to the left side of his base. This is
these longbow terribly out of position. They're going to get all picked up here by the hussar.
Ooh, that's
they have nowhere to go either. They're blocked out.
Yeah, couple are dropping, another Vil falling.
Minutemen pop here.
Minutemen forced to be called. Tibia can just back out here. Does lose 1 hussar for the cost of killing 2-3 longbows and a Vil, so not too big of a loss there. And does force the Minutemen to be called from GoodSpeed as well. So another exhausted resource from him. And GoodSpeed, I mean, the clock's kind of ticking. Even if he does control this hunt to the left side of his base, the hunt out front of his base is not going to be trivial to contain either, especially with Tibia's current focus on military production here. And GoodSpeed training a couple musketeers, but still has a long way to go before he realistically feels pretty comfortable pushing out to the front side of his base here.
Yeah, and this was actually a really key engagement for Tibia. He cleaned up about 10 longbow there, maybe like 6 or 7 of them. But keeping the longbow count thin is really important here when you're trying to play H2 against British. And the other thing to keep in mind, I'm watching the resources gathered total. It's like 9K for GoodSpeed, and it's about 9K, maybe 10K for Tibia as well. So they're dead even in resources gathered, even though GoodSpeed's up by 10 villagers. Yeah. And that's because of all the belling and the moving and the shifting that Tibia is forcing.
Yep, it's getting a little bit more awkward for him. The next shipment, I think, is going to be very important for Tibia. Should that be 8 crossbows, I think he'll have a good enough response to keep GoodSpeed penned up completely outside of his base. Ooh, nice little volley there from GoodSpeed.
Oh, that's like 5 muskets at least.
Yeah.
Nice split from GoodSpeed. Most people wouldn't have gotten those extra 3 muskets he got there.
And that's pretty big because, I mean, realistically, had the military unit count stayed even and had the 8 crossbowmen come out as the next card, like here it comes. I feel like the army from Tibia would have been big enough to completely continuing to deny these locations, but that's not going to be true right now. I also think it would be in Tibia's best interest to siege these 2 houses down because he keeps running his army right on top of it, giving GoodSpeed full knowledge of where he's moving around the map, and that kind of intangible benefit that those houses are providing is absolutely huge at this point in the game.
Yeah, I agree. And especially if his army is doing nothing at all, then it should be sieging, right? But not a top priority. So to your point, he could have easily killed those 2 houses probably with the combination of his idle time. Looks like he's just remassing. He's going to try to push him for a flank. Well, these Hussar, I don't think he expected GoodSpeed to be this up in his face with the muskets. And it's going to cost him 2 Hussar.
Yeah,
really,
ton of damage at least on the remaining Hussar. A little bit of pressure being pushed in here by Tibia, but realistically, the military unit population looking just fine for GoodSpeed at this point. Getting lots of nice little trades with the longbows, shooting over the walls, killing lots of muskets, and this is a situation where things are starting to look more and more British favored. The longer he continues to hold out, the more we kind of were making the joke in the previous game with the British civilization that each time he fends off a little bit of pressure, he's rewarded with an additional hunt, and it's true once again in this game, right? He's thwarted the pressure enough so that he's kind of rewarded with this hunt. He gets to sneak those villagers out on the side and not have to worry about them being pressured because Tibia doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the military unit count to effectively split up his army, spread himself that thin, to be checking all of these locations. Looks like he's going to send 2 Hussar up there, but once again, these houses, spotting all of the Hussar movements, is able to preemptively move those villagers. We'll see if they get caught out. Looks like they are going to get caught out a little bit. Probably one of those is going to drop, but not the biggest of deal at the end of the day.
You know what I'm looking to see? I'm looking to see when the first musket combat cards come in because the long drawn-out colonial game is happening, and I think that's going to be the difference maker. When your muskets are 15% stronger in some way, really, resources gathered are just so dead even right now, and you wouldn't expect that with the villager gap, but still, I mean, you do. It is what you see because of all that moving. Yeah. So right now, both players really have the exact same amount of everything, dead even, and a combat card might just be what pushes it over the edge. Tibia sending 700 gold though. Is he going for the age up here?
Yeah, well,
no, not at all.
He probably can't. I mean, at this point in the game, right? He just doesn't have the food, and certainly should he get aged up, he doesn't have the TP to back it up either. So he's not going to have the wealth of shipments that you would normally have. And seeing that 6 longbow shipment on a GoodSpeed makes me feel like this is his go time. He's ready to push his way out. He's got a pretty good composition here. He's got lots of muskets, lots of longbows, a nice even split, 45 and 41. This feels like a very scary army and a very scary push here.
Yeah.
The Tibia is going to have a very hard time holding. He would realistically need probably another 10 Hussar with maybe a combat card or something like that.
There's a fortress stage.
Yeah.
Actually, Tibia might just be totally fine. Because now being in the fortress stage, the game's changed, right? Skirmishers are on the table. The 2 Falconet card is likely on its way. If Tibia has no shipments, but it will be after the first fight here. So it's going to be so close, though. Look at how many muskets and longbows. It's like 50 of each.
That's the issue, though, isn't it? He doesn't have the shipments available that he realistically needs to hold this huge ball of infantry. If you take a look at the military unit counts, GoodSpeed has just been strictly producing military for the last several minutes, whilst Tibia has been stockpiling some resources to be able to age up. He's going to certainly lose these 2 barracks. He still has the stable back at home. He's got an additional barracks being rebuilt back at home. He's got the veterancy upgrade for his muskets, but he doesn't have the XP necessary to get that big impactful shipment, whether it's 8 skirms, 2 falconets, something like that, to really deal with this big infantry ball. And it's still a long ways off, and because there's no TP, it's not going to be coming anytime soon. And by the time that 2 falconets finally comes, GoodSpeed might be standing on top of his town center with all of Tibia's army dead.
Yeah, and the Cuirassier pop here is going to signal the shipment being ready. So when we see that, we'll know it's a 30-second counter to 2 falconets coming. But I like GoodSpeed's angle of play here. He's like, this is Bengal. You're definitely mined out in your base. I'm going to go hunting for bills. I'm going to get you all back in this one little corner. Just wait. And as you can see, yeah, exactly. The shipment's there and spent. So in about 30 seconds, we'll see falconets. The whole map, though, being totally run over. Look at this, just flocking bills everywhere.
Yeah.
There's also a whole bunch of army flanking from this angle, I guess. But yeah, so a couple Hussars trying to sneak in here for a raid, probably not going to be the most effective. Ooh, the TC giving him a little bit of a warning fire there. Probably helped him out, actually.
Yeah, and what it's going to come down to is whether or not Tibia can get those 2 falconets to be in an impactful position. Certainly, that has to be the unit that is being sent right now. I don't think anything else that makes sense against this large of a mass. And well, maybe catching a little bit of damage there from the side. Here they come.
There they come. Oh my gosh, 2 Hussar just from 1 longbow volley.
Well,
I think GoodSpeed may just press the issue here. I'm surprised he's doing that because of how good of a position he's in. But yeah, look at that. This is like critical mass longbows are just focusing down these falconets. And 1 falls, the second one is being focused down now, and they're both gone. And GoodSpeed still has a huge mass of units. I do not see Cuirassiers and even the CDB here tanking being enough to save this. Yeah. There's just 50 muskets behind that. So
he does have veterancy upgrades on his muskets, but with all of the additional stuff GoodSpeed has going for him, he's got the cover mode pikes, the Hussars tanking damage. He's got plenty of longbows still in the back, adding in some extra DPS. It just feels like at this point, Tibia, his army is just kind of melting. Yes, maybe he eventually holds, but at what cost, right? The cost is the entirety of the map. And I don't know that he's ever going to have the units to really get that back.
Like when you're training crossbows in Fortress, you're in some serious trouble. But at the same time, wow, he's pushed him out, right? So 3 Cuirassier card coming in. Is he going to be able to? He's almost got another shipment too. Is he going to be able to just roll the shipments all the way here?
Well,
like he's going to get 1 more shipment.
Yeah.
Like right now.
I mean, he needs to get out of the map, right? He needs to immediately start challenging these positions that GoodSpeed is freely gathering hunts from. Because if you take a look at these villagers, they've had steel traps this whole time. The longer they're able to just continue to gather food here, while Tibia, is relegated to the single berry bush remaining in his base for food income, is going to be a very difficult situation. That would be a good start. I mean, if he can get a good fight here, this is certainly going to be a good start for him.
And this is veteran. The muskets do have veterancy, which is helpful. Those Cuirassiers are cleaning up about 8 vills here. But Cur and Hussar is not ideal.
Yeah.
It's not terrible, but it's not ideal. And there's still longbows over here causing him some havoc too. So,
so annoying. I just don't feel like Tibia is going to have the resources that he needs to remass an army. And GoodSpeed, his position on the map is just going to be very difficult to challenge. And as a result, I don't see him really falling in too big of a hole in any position where he needs to claw his way back out of it. And here, that big impactful shipment, Team Musketeer and Grenadier HP coming in, is certainly going to help him. Like you mentioned, we do have the veterancy upgrade for the French Musketeers, but as the upgrades start to tick in from the cards for the British in Age 2, realistically, the musket differential in terms of just actual raw power is really not that different. 172 hit points now versus 180 hit points. Essentially, in terms of hit points, once all those cards get sent, their stats are going to be fairly similar, despite the fact that one is upgraded with veterancy status and one is not. And there comes the other one, right?
Yeah. And my view on this is that Tibia's got 5 Cuirassier coming, and that's his last. This is his last chance. He has no more shipments coming for such a long time, and if he can't make this 50 to 70, is the best deficit he's going to see all day. And if he's not able to make something happen right now with with how far away GoodSpeed is from all of his reinforcement points, then this game is just going to be over for him, I feel. But I think he could do it, honestly. I mean, Cuirassier are not to be underestimated. So
they're very strong, but unfortunately, there's just a lot of muskets for GoodSpeed currently out on the map, which is probably the more difficult thing to deal with here at this point. The Cuirassiers certainly are good, and they're good at raiding. And if he had the map, it would be they would be deadly, right? I mean, can you imagine 3 Cuirassiers standing on top of this little pod of villagers? Would make very quick work of them and quickly swing things back in his favor. But with the amount of vision GoodSpeed has, I mean, remember, these houses are still up from the beginning of the game. GoodSpeed knows where all of these movements are for the Cuirassiers, and as a result, has no issues positioning his army correctly, being in the right spot at the right time, and makes it difficult.
4 more Cuirassiers. I mean, the thing is, like, the deficit's slowly starting to get bigger and bigger. It's now 63 to 98, and I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of bills getting cut out here, but I feel like that timing window was his best timing window. So he's gonna have to kind of search around for another one here. Maybe when all the hunts run out, because there's only 1 hunt left, and now GoodSpeed's gonna have to go for a full mill transition. So he may actually have more time than we perceive. But it looks like here's gonna be the moment that he's gonna pick. Longbow's kind of jammed in there as well, but Musket's jamming in between everything to get a good surround on the Cuirassiers here. Hussar and Cuirassier looks like, once again, the Muskets are just in a great spot to do damage to Cuirassiers, and Tibia realizes that he's got no way to clean this up, and he's calling a good game.
GG, well played. Tibia has resigned. GoodSpeed will take the series 2-1 in, well, I mean, quite honestly, Tibia impressed me here. He played pretty well in all of the games, and this was once again a pretty close game. Could have gone either way right up until the end, but GoodSpeed does manage to take it, is going to advance to the round of 32, and unfortunately for Tibia, is going to be eliminated, but definitely showcased some pretty good gameplay, some very dominant gameplay in the French versus Japan game, and as a result, I think maybe making a little bit of a name for himself with some of his pretty solid play. Another thing I would have liked to have seen is I still would argue that the double racks play seems a little bit incorrect. The added bonus from the Hussars, just the extra threat that they give against that really late delayed double racks play, I feel could have been just that much more impactful, but didn't have that, and as a result, GoodSpeed was able to stabilize him in space as well. So, pretty good game, pretty close game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a fantastic series to watch. So, all of them have been today.
Yeah, the next match will be Lord